Most people only think about their blood type in one situation. An emergency is something you write on a medical form, something a doctor asks before surgery, or something that suddenly matters if you ever need a blood transfusion. Outside of that, blood types are rarely explained in a clear or accurate way, and because of that gap, myths have filled the space. Some people believe blood type determines personality, others think it dictates the perfect diet, or explains why certain health plans work for some people and fail for others. So let's slow this down and explain what blood types actually are, why they matter medically, and just as importantly, what they do not control. Your blood type is determined by specific markers on the surface of your red blood cells. These markers are called antigens. Antigens act like identification tags. Your immune system uses them to recognize what belongs in your body and what does not. If your immune system encounters red blood cells with unfamiliar antigens, it treats them as a threat and launches an attack. This is why blood compatibility is so important, and why blood types exist in the first place. There are two main systems used to classify blood. The first is the ABO blood group system. The second is the Rh factor. Together, these determine your full blood type. In the ABO system, there are 4 primary blood types: A, B, AB, and O. Each one is defined by which antigens are present on red blood cells. Type A blood has A antigens on the surface of red blood cells. Because of this, people with type A blood naturally produce antibodies against B antigens. That means they cannot safely receive type B or type AB blood without triggering an immune reaction. Type B blood works the opposite way. It has B antigens on red blood cells, and people with type B produce antibodies against A antigens. This means they cannot receive type A or type AB blood safely. Type AB blood has both A and B antigens on the surface of red blood cells. Because both antigens are present, people with type AB do not produce antibodies against A or B antigens. This makes them universal recipients within the ABO system. They can receive blood from any ABO type without triggering an immune response. However, the trade-off is that people with type AB blood can only donate blood to others with type AB. Type O blood is different from all the others. It has no A or B antigens on red blood cells. Because of this, type O negative blood is considered the universal donor. It is the least likely to trigger an immune reaction during a transfusion. However, people with type O blood produce antibodies against both A and B antigens. That means they can only safely receive type O blood. In addition to the ABO system, blood is also classified by the Rh factor. If your blood contains the D antigen, you are Rh positive. If it does not, you are Rh negative. The Rh factor matters most in blood transfusions and pregnancy. An Rh negative person exposed to Rh positive blood can develop antibodies. In pregnancy, this becomes important because an Rh negative mother carrying an Rh positive fetus can develop antibodies that affect future pregnancies if not treated properly. This is why Rh status is routinely monitored in prenatal care, and why modern medicine places so much importance on it. Blood types matter medically in several important ways. First, blood transfusions. Receiving incompatible blood can cause a severe immune reaction that can be life-threatening. This is why blood is carefully typed and matched before any transfusion takes place. Second, pregnancy compatibility. Rh incompatibility can lead to complications if not managed correctly, though modern treatments have made this largely preventable. Third, blood clotting. Blood type influences levels of certain clotting factors in the body. For example, people with type O blood tend to have lower levels of certain clotting proteins, which can reduce the risk of blood clots but increase the risk of bleeding. People with non-O blood types tend to have higher clotting tendencies, which slightly alters cardiovascular risk at a population level. Research has also found associations between blood types and certain disease risks. It's important to understand what association means here. It does not mean cause. It means that across large populations, certain patterns appear more frequently. For example, some studies associate type A blood with slightly higher cardiovascular risk. Type O blood has been associated with lower heart disease risk, but a higher tendency toward bleeding. Certain bacteria and viruses bind more easily to specific blood group antigens, which can influence infection susceptibility. Some autoimmune and inflammatory patterns also vary slightly by blood type. These are risk modifiers, not predictions. Blood type does not determine whether you will develop a disease. It simply influences how certain biological interactions occur. This is where many myths begin. Blood type does not determine your personality. It does not decide what diet you should follow. It does not control your metabolism or explain weight loss resistance. It does not override hormones, insulin, liver function, gut health, sleep, stress, or nervous system regulation. The popular idea that you should eat according to your blood type is not supported by strong scientific evidence. Metabolism is driven by complex systems interacting together. Blood type plays no dominant role in those systems. So why do blood type myths persist? Because blood type feels personal. It is fixed. It does not change. It gives people a simple category to identify with. Humans are drawn to explanations that feel clear and individualized. But biology does not work in clean boxes. Health outcomes are shaped by systems, not labels. Blood type distribution also varies across the world. Type O is the most common blood type globally. Type B is more common in parts of Asia. Type AB is the rarest. These patterns likely developed in response to historical infections, migration, and environmental pressures over thousands of years. Blood types helped populations survive past conditions. They were never designed to dictate modern diets, lifestyles, or health plans. The bigger picture is this. Blood types matter in medical emergencies, transfusions, pregnancy care, and certain immune interactions. They do not define your health destiny. They do not determine what foods you tolerate best. They do not explain why one diet worked for someone else and not for you. Real health understanding comes from understanding systems, hormones, stress, sleep, inflammation, nutrition, nervous system regulation. Blood type is part of the biological story, but it is never the whole story. Your blood type is not a rulebook. It is not a diagnosis, and it is not a lifestyle prescription. It is simply one way your immune system recognizes itself. Understanding biology means moving beyond shortcuts and asking better questions about how the body actually functions. When you do that, health stops being mysterious and starts becoming understandable. If this explanation helped clarify what blood types actually mean, and just as importantly what they do not mean, subscribe for more clear, science-based explainers. No fear, no hype, just biology explained.